We are live. Hell of a Show is live for yet another Monday night here. Getting ready to have some fun on this show and get some talking going on here. Now, before I get started too much into this, I want to make sure that we are live and everything is set up on my end. I'm going to go through a couple of things over here. If you can see and hear me in the comments, let me know so I'm not talking to myself. I do enough of that during the day. I don't need to do it at night as well. If you're going to start making little, announcements about what I do on my own, we don't want that. So let me know if you can see and hear me over there, and let's get some shares out there because we got a great show planned out for you tonight, and we're getting ready to jump into that. Let's see. Okay, we're starting to get some confirmations coming across. Everything is set up. We got green check marks across there. It looks like Skynet's even allowing me to broadcast over there tonight. Good. All right. So, Hell of a Show is live Monday night. We do this pretty much every Monday night is what we shoot for on there. I am doing it tonight as well. If you saw the post on Facebook today, you know that I had some issues yesterday morning with the family, but I am back on here taking care of things. And then as soon as I'm done here, going back taking care of the family. So let's go ahead and get started and bring some more people up here besides just myself, because we can't have me the only one in the hot seat over here. So let's see who's not paying attention, who's not paying attention, who's picking their nose. Anybody back there? No. You know what? Let's go ahead and bring up Max DeVill is here. What's up, Max?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thanks. Spent all day cleaning my apartment, so I'm tired.
Oh, there you go. I mean, you didn't have to clean it on my part. I mean, we're good with you not having to clean an apartment whenever you come on here.
I know. I started moving all of my pictures off the wall in my old office and moved them out to the living room, which is my new office. And that kind of spurred on continued cleaning.
Exactly. Now
I even dusted.
Oh man, what?
Yeah.
It's not 20, 30 something yet. Now we can't bring Max up here without his partner in crime on this one. So we've got Johnny Reed here as well. What's up, Johnny? You are muted. Do we have the boomer moment?
You're correct. There you go.
It's a good thing I don't have the boomer moment. I leave that one to Niobe on that one. He can have the boomer moment thing going.
Right.
All right, let's see. We've got who's next. Let's go ahead and bring up Michael Hinson up here. Mike, what's up?
How's it going? Hopefully my mic is working.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh yeah, you're great now.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good deal.
Steve, appreciate you being here, and he's calling in the troops over there. Yeah, let's get Brett over here. Hopefully you don't heckle me too much over there, but because I never do that to y'all at all, ever. Now we're going to bring Michael Hinson on here. So we've got some people on here. We've already announced that, Johnny's here. He wasn't actually officially on the list. This panel grew a little bit while I was making this, and this is pretty cool. So we're going to add on another one on this because that's what I do on these things. We've got Chris Hayes here tonight.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, Chris?
How are you guys?
And lastly on here tonight, we have Kevin Joseph is here to join us.
Yeah, I swam all the way across Fort Lauderdale to be on this show, so I want to get my props.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to the show. I am happy to have you all on here and excited to go ahead and start talking to you all about everything. But before we get into all of the discussions and shenanigans and everything, we're going to kind of go around the room on this one and let everybody know who you are, what you do, and where to find you. We'll start with Max on that, and we'll wrap around all the way to finish up with the one who swam all day, and we'll finish up with Kevin down there. So, Max, you got first round on this one.
All right, I'm Max DeVill. You can find me at atrocitypress.com. It's got all of our social media links on it. It's got all the news for Atrocity Press before it hits social media. Has our store for our merch and our old comics, or older comics, the previous issues of our books, and you can check all that shit out, and then you can come over to check out Atrocity Press Comics group on Facebook and check out everything that we're doing there. That's where we post a lot of pictures and a lot of updates, so you can check it out and keeping up on everything that is Atrocity Press.
There you go. Johnny, you're up. Go ahead and let us know who you are, what you do, and where to find you.
Heck, I could just say ditto, right?
On the other half of Atrocity Press, so you can find me at atrocitypress.com and all our stuff, just like Max said. And if you're around the Kansas City area, I also am the owner of Brute Squad Entertainment, Comics and Toys. So I got my own comic shop that I run out of. So I'm about as deep in the business as you can get.
And games. Warhammer 40,000.
That and Magic. It's crazy.
Nice. Now, Michael, you're up on this one. Now, I don't think you're going to say ditto on this one. I think you've got some different information you want to throw out there.
Yeah, not ditto. I'm Michael Hinson. I'm the creator of Comic Shield, as well as and I got started doing that because I started writing my own creator-owned comic, The Disputed Territory. ComicShield.com for the Comic Shields, obviously, and thedisputedterritory.com for the comic. So it's a graphic novel that / ongoing comic series that is a supernatural Western. And I'm working on some other things. I've got a couple others in the hopper, working on one with Chris Hayes' son. Actually, Cole and I are working on a book together that we're gonna publish here pretty soon as well.
Very nice. Chris, go ahead and let us know who you are, what you do, and where to find you.
I'm Chris Hayes. I am the co-owner of Charter Comics, which is our publishing company. We have some creators under us, just like Mike. We've put out about 2 years, about 27 titles right now, and creator-owned comics. Along with that, I am the co-owner of Pastime Comics in North Fort Worth, which is our comic book store, brick-and-mortar comic book store. So you can go to chartercomics.com and see everything we got coming out and going on, or pastimecomics.com for our actual store. And then on top of that, I'm also co-owner of Cowtown Comic Con in Fort Worth, that we put on a big show here in Fort Worth, Texas. And our next show is in September of this year. So we're looking forward to that coming up.
Cool. Now we're going to go ahead and finish up with Kevin over there. We already know he's a professional swimmer, so we're going to find out a little bit more. Kevin, who are you? What are you doing? Where to find you?
Yeah, retired, but I've still got the calves. No, I'm a writer, comic books, most known for a supernatural quantum leap book called Tart. Basically, we've got some female time travelers that fight off against the forces of hell, trying to keep our history from fracturing into insanity.
Yeah, it's a fun series. I know that. I don't want to go too in detail, so I don't give away any spoilers or anything.
Sure.
But it's got a lot of layers. It's actually got 15 books now, solid of layers.
Yeah, we're having a blast doing it, but I can't wait to hear about the other books on the show too. So and how human are we getting? We're getting real human, because I always fear emotion and honesty, and I thought I was coming on a shallow thing, man.
Well, the problem is I got to ride a thin line on this one. If I go too human on this one, then we've got human hunters that are on the show as well. So that I don't know, it could get ugly real quick. So got to be careful on that one. But no, I mean, I just wanted to talk to y'all because all of y'all have works that you're doing, and you're working on your own projects and things, and that's great and everything. But also all of y'all are working with other people at times and kind of either mentoring or working on, spreading the word about the indies and getting the word out there that the indies have a lot to offer now. I mean, after 2020, people had to pay attention to what was going on. The thing now is, though, we got to keep that trend going. And I see a lot of everybody that's on here that definitely keeps that going with that. And I want to kind of touch on different ways that I see from the outside and then have y'all talk about it as well. But to start off with this, I want to go ahead and bring up, since Chris is on here tonight, I wanted to bring up about Charter Comics. We could have an entire show about Charter Comics, and eventually we will at some point, going into that a little deeper and everything. But the way that y'all have that set up, and for the reasons why you have it set up, that's why I enjoy getting on there and learning more about what you have going on with Charter. Can you give us just a brief synopsis of what Charter is about and what exactly y'all do over there?
Yeah, real quick. I started it with my friend McLean McGuire, who's big in the industry, does a lot of lettering and stuff, a lot of project leads for us. We started it just based on when I started doing my own comics. I didn't want something attached to our comic book store, because if somebody said, "Man, your books suck," right? I don't want that attached to the store. So we came up with Charter Comics. We decided to make that as a publishing company. And then actually, we got some input from Mike on that as well. The more we started looking into it, the more we're like, well, you know what? I mean, Mike's a good friend of ours, does his creator-owned books. How can we help or give advice to people that are out there doing their own creator-owned books that may not know the steps? Because when I started this in late 2018, I didn't know what I was doing on how to create a comic. I didn't know all the ins and outs about it. And then McLean came along. So with Charter, we're pretty much those guys that will help or give advice to other creators that have projects out there. So we have creators under us now. We like to promote them. One thing about us is we don't take anybody's money. We don't want anybody's IP. All our creators, they own their own IP 100%. That's big. We help promote them and help get their name out there in the industry. And that's what we're about. Somebody gave back to me when I was starting in McLean and Mike. So in return, we want to help give back to other people. So with that, our group keeps growing, and we always say that we got a seat. There's always a seat at the table for everybody. So we're always just like, pull up a chair. So we're
Nice.
Pretty laid back, pretty simple. But yeah, I can go into big detail and be on here for an hour talking about it, but we don't have that kind of time.
Well, like I said, we will definitely have a show where it's going to be more charter oriented, because I like doing that, where we have, different topics for different things that are going on. Tonight's topic is more about the passion in the indies. Is always what I always talk about. This is about how everyone that's on here has a part in spreading that out to everyone. And everyone that's on here has some part in that going through there. I've had pretty good sized conversations with Michael about some things that are going on in the indies. And he and I click on the same wavelengths of talking about a lot of things on there, that it needs a stronger voice out there. It needs someone, not just someone as in one person. It needs someone as in a conglomerate to come together and say, we are here, still here. We never left. We never put pencils down. And this is still going on and getting stronger. It's time to really start paying attention to what's going on here. Michael, what is something that you've seen as far as the indies are concerned about getting more of a spotlight out there? And how do you feel like it's going? Like, what do you see the trend is moving forward?
Well, I mean, the big thing is it just needs support, and the distribution's the hardest part of the game for sure, and so that's probably the area where we've got to work the hardest, is working together to get distribution where it needs to be, because look, let's face it, the mainstream stuff, they've got their success and they've got their set ways of doing things, but it's really drifted away from storytelling. I'm not saying it's non-existent, but certainly there's some struggles on that front. And what I see in the indie game, there's way more pushing the envelope, way more taking chances, doing things. They don't have to play it. We don't have to play it safe. We can try different things. That's the exciting part of it, and that's where I think the growth is going to come from, and that's what we have to nurture and again, come together. I think it's going to take a lot of folks coming together to make it happen.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And another big part about this is sharing the knowledge that we have in different things that are in there, because it's all about perspective. Sometimes you get in there, you have blinders on, you look in one complete direction on there, and you can't see the peripheral around you, whereas other people can. So if you get a much larger group together working on this, you get different perspectives. Kevin, I want to go ahead and kind of put a blast on your stuff over there, because you actually have a show that you host, that you get people on there and you talk about the inwards, buildings of comics. They're not actually built by, gnomes or elves overnight and just show up at the comic book stores. I know a lot of people think that's what exactly happens, but I'm telling you right now, it does not. So how did you come up with the idea to come up with the show, and what kind of drives the passion to get the different creators on there and get those topics going?
It honestly started with laziness. I like, if you're running a Kickstarter campaign, you want to be busy and showing the people that are supporting you that you care about the project as much as they do. And so I figured I could either spend 3 hours writing up updates for them, or I could turn a camera on and talk comics for an hour. and get the same effect. And kind of after my campaign ended, I talked to Will Allred, who's my co-host, and he had been on each show because he had a campaign. And I said, this is kind of fun. We don't have to do this just because we're running something. So what we kind of do is every Friday night, we have people who have a campaign live so that they have a vested interest in showing up. And we do talk about their campaign, of course, but inevitably it comes down to what's working, what's not working. If someone's running their first campaign, we'll share our failures, our mistakes, our disasters, so that they know that because they're having a disaster, it doesn't mean that they're dumb or bad. It just means they're new to it. And you know what? We have a new disaster every campaign, so we've got a lot to share.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Max, I want to go ahead and kind of talk to you a little bit on this one because you're part of the BC. I mean, the boys club over there with Niobe and everything, and that's a tight-knit group over there that it almost seems like it's almost a clique, but y'all actually, you share the knowledge. The only stipulation is that everyone that wants to have a piece of the knowledge and have a piece of being, a part of the BC, you have to do the work. Go ahead and let everybody know what y'all's policy is on that, because I know that's a big thing is people come in and they expect y'all to kind of, hey, push this for me because you got a lot of eyes on this, but immediately y'all are like, well, what are y'all doing for the community? So kind of let people know about that.
Well, the BC is just kind of just an amalgamation of a bunch of creators that come together that we share our individual knowledge with each other. So like if it's coming to takes to building a Kickstarter or finding a letterer or finding a good colorist or an inker or trying to find an editor, we work with the people to help them do what they need to do, and we'll give them advice, but we're not the type of people that you can keep coming back to the well for advice and not listen to the advice and then come back again and be like, well, what did I do wrong this time? It's like, listen to what we said. That's what you did wrong. You didn't listen.
Right. And sometimes it's, again, that's one of those things where you got the blinders on thinking that you're brand new to this and you've got new ideas that may or may not work. I'm going to tell you right now, it's worth a shot trying. But if you've got veterans that are out there that say, what do you got? What are some of your ideas? And then they give you feedback, and it's constructive feedback about it's good, but I would change such and such, or, make this change, make this alteration on there. Listen to what they have to say, because they've already gone through and done the work themselves. You never know whenever it might actually help. Plus, you're networking and building bridges with these people that have been doing this for a while, and that alone is worth its weight in gold too.
Oh yeah, we do a lot of helping people. I mean, it's one of the things that we do the most. I mean, you don't have to be part of the BC to get help. I mean, you can just come on to when Niobe's running his show, you just come on and ask a question, and we'll give you as much information as we possibly can. We've got not only us, but, for pretty regular guests, we've got Tom Hutchinson, who's been doing this for 13 years. We got Ben Dunn, who's head of our Antarctic Press, been doing it for 35 years. We've got John Stensman, he was an image artist back in the day. I mean, we've got a good, solid group of people that know what they're talking about. So if you just take the time to listen, you don't have to take everything we say and do it exactly. It's your project. So you need to take what we say and use what works. Do the old Bruce Lee thing. Use what works and throw away the rest of it.
Yes, exactly. Now, Johnny, I wanted to ask you from a store owner standpoint on this one, how are you seeing the trend of the indies, going on over there? Are you seeing where it's starting to make at least a small tick in that direction of, the positive momentum going over there? Or are you seeing where it's kind of still getting overshadowed, or how is the word getting out there a little bit more about the indies there?
I don't know, for my store, I actually have a section for Kickstarters, because I reach out to a lot of the Kickstarters, and I actually do retail, tiers for the ones that have it. And I've noticed there's a couple of the different stores in Kansas City that they actually have sections, for local, indie. So that from that aspect, it's really good. I think that one thing is DC leaving previews. It left a big void in previews where previews had to go out, Diamond, and they had to fill that void. So they started bringing a lot more indie comics in there. I mean, you open up previews, that whole thing is pretty much indies, for lack of a better term. I mean, you still got your Image, and those companies there, but there's a lot more of the smaller veins. I think the big thing I've noticed is, which I find interesting, is like 5 years ago, Marvel Comics, just take for an example, you'd have a regular issue every month, then you'd have a 10 issue incentive copy, and then if you bought 25, you'd have that special variant.
Yeah.
What I think that is the most fascinating right now about the industry, if you go out there to order a Marvel book, they got like 5 to 10 different variants. You can pick whatever one you want. And to me, it's like they themselves have noticed Kickstarters, noticed the indies. And that now it's kind of funny when you see the big guns kind of copying what the indie books are doing. To me, that really validates that the indies, they are more the upward trend right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
At least
yeah,
that's my opinion on it.
we're definitely in an independent renaissance right now, which is fantastic, and I'm happy to see it.
Oh man, it definitely is, because if you can think it up, creators are putting it out there, to be made at some point, some way, somehow. Some people are using crowdfunding. Some people are, still selling directly on the streets, going to different shops. Some people are just using their online shops. Everything, it seems to be something is working out there some way, somehow, because indies are staying consistent. Nothing's fallen off enough where people have gone, oh, well, there it goes. We're going to go back to the big two. And we never really had a chance in there. It's more of, we've actually got a chance to get more notice going on and moving forward with this. And that's really cool with that, because it deserves having the eyes all on it and deserves having things that are going on with that as well.
Well, I think a lot of that also is, no offense to the big guns, because, they're out there. But I think people are tired of just seeing the reboots, the jumping on points. Let's do another number one. I just read today that they're talking about rebooting Green Lantern and you're going to get the rings again. And I think, people, they want something fresh. They want something new. They don't want something just repackaged again for sales. And right. I think the other thing is, a lot of the indie guys, don't get me wrong, we all want to be rich just writing comics. We all got to survive. But at the bottom line of it, these are things that we've created.
Yes.
Max created Mary Machine Gun. I created Human Hunters. So when we sit down and write it, we're passionate about it because it's our children. It's, it's not for a paycheck. We're not trying to phone it in. It's like, this is what we are, passionate about, and we put that in the books. And I see that some of that's really kind of been lost. I find I go back and read some of the old X-Men stuff with Claremont and all, because that stuff is the passion, and I think that's where a lot of the indies are now. You get to see something new, something fresh, something that people are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Kevin, I want to go ahead and talk to you a little bit, because you've got your main one, of course, is Tart. And he was just talking about, putting your passion into your IP. And like he said, Human Hunters is his. Mary Machine Gun is with Max over there. You've got Tart is the main one you're known for. What is something that you've seen as being your biggest obstacle in keeping this thing going and being consistent on here? And how did you overcome that?
Our biggest obstacle was our complete ignorance when we started. Ludovic is a French, my co-creator Ludovic is a Frenchman and I'm American. And we agreed to do our series together without ever discussing the unbelievable difference between how the French put comics out and how Americans do. Americans, we're used to 10 to 12 comics a year in an annual. And French, they put out one 42-page volume a year. And they feel done and happy. So, I sent him a 22-page script, and then I sent him another 22-page script, and he was like, "Hey, whoa. we're good for 2015." So we've had to kind of meet in the middle of this, because of course I can't draw. So the comic's going to come out when Ludo can draw it. But I've also kind of tried to get that, hey, we've got to be like a shark. We do have to keep moving or we'll die. But I'm not asking him to try to do 12 issues a year as I naively expected us to do.
Absolutely. Michael, I want to ask you, being a new creator with your book that you've been working on and everything that you got keep going and consistent on that, what's the biggest thing that you had to kind of adapt to learn in there that you were able to move forward with?
So a little bit of my background, most of the actual production related things is all a part of my background. It's what I do for a living, just not in the comic field. So I think it was really just more about the adaptation of, I have this skill set, but it's the ins and outs of what this industry is expecting and looking for. And so trying to find, you talked a little while ago about Max did about, listening to what people in the industry have to say. And one of the great things about being new is that you can disrupt some things and you can do some things differently. But you also are a bit of a bull in a china closet, clunking around and knocking things over in the process as well. So I think for me, even having all of the tools, all the skill set to do the individual functional things, it was all about how do you put this together and how do you make it fit in an industry that you've never worked in before. So I think it's an adaptation into something new is the hard part. And then I'll say the other part of it is sustainability. So me in particular, I think I got through the first 6 books fairly quickly, Chris. I mean, pretty reasonable considering I'd never done it. And then I got to a point where I hit a bit of a wall, and as a creator-owned situation, there's no backup. There's no one else to pick up the slack. It's my passion. It's my thing. And so you have to navigate those things. So I think sustainability and finding and continuing that passion, that's a really, really hard thing to do, especially when you don't change titles. You're working the same thing, and it's a lot of work.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Chris, I got to ask you, being in a position where you can do a lot of mentoring, from Charter Comics and things like that, people come to you and they work within that. I know a big part of that is also the fact that they need to listen and try to find out how to better themselves moving forward and have a game plan moving forward to get better with things. What is kind of your game plan whenever you get somebody in there that wants to be in Charter Comics? What is their kind of your game plan of getting with them and saying, this is what you have now, where do you want to see it in 5 years? Is that kind of what you lead into with that, or how do you go with it?
It is. That's actually a question we'll ask a creator, and I think somebody else mentioned this on the show earlier. We're going to put a lot into it, but you as the creator, we need you to put yourself out there and put just as much into it, if not more, because it's your project, it's your passion. We can't do all the work for you. We can give you advice. I think that's what Max said earlier. We can give you advice, and we'll give you advice and guide you and show you the do's and don'ts. And we don't have all the answers. We're not perfect. We never will be, and we're learning every day like everybody else. But as somebody new coming in, we can help guide them. Now, whether they take that advice or not, they can succeed or fail. That's, we hope everybody succeeds. But, going back to stuff Mike said too a little while ago, is you hope that they sustain with what they're doing. The indie industry it's a tough industry. I think a lot of it is you have to get yourself out there, which is what we tell creators, because just starting out, you just put out your first book, like everybody here knows that's done a book, and Mike knows. I mean, who's the first one to jump on your book? It's your friends and your family. I mean, that's your immediate fan base, right? Well, they're not going to support your habit for 30 years. You have to grow yourself somehow. So by doing that, how are you going to get your book distributed is going around the stores, doing your regional Comic Cons, trying to get into the big ones. Not everybody makes it in Diamond or Lunar or Penguin. We don't all get in there. So you have to find ways. Your
friends and family actually supported yours?
A couple did. Yeah, I think you bought one. So, you go from that, you have to find ways to promote yourself. And then you have to start building that fan base. I think that goes with any creator. It's just like an artist. What's your niche and who's going to follow you and how can you keep them interested in your work?
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree on that. And it's one thing one thing that I've always brought up on all my shows is that support comes in all, because not everybody can financially support everything that's out there. We know that not everybody's
Right.
friends with a Gates. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I wish it did. It'd be great, but it doesn't. So it doesn't cost anything to share out and to kind of give knowledge as well. And that's another thing with this panel is everyone here is willing to share and give knowledge and help out as well. But they definitely want to see that you're bettering yourself in the process. So I just want to stress right now, if you're going to be reaching out to any of these creators, asking anything at a different time, that's fine. But just be expecting that they're going to be asking you, what are you going to be putting into it as well? Because it can't be a one-sided coin on this. We've got, let me go ahead and bring this up. We've got Tim is in here tonight. And y'all will notice that the seal matches the one in the background right there. So that is my co-writer for Voices in the Dark. That I am absolutely excited about that we're going to be launching next month. So first ever done, 4 years. For 4 years, I have been hosting shows, interviewing, getting to know people and everything. And I've been one of those that's been absorbing as much knowledge as I possibly can. So I really want this thing to hit pretty well with this, because this is a culmination of what I've learned from shows just like this right here. And I hope that everyone else that's out there watching does the exact same thing. If you're interested in creating a book or something, these are the kind of people you want to talk to. More importantly, if you're interested in getting a comic, if you haven't been in comics in a while and you want to see what's going on with that and everything, indies have a plethora of things to get into. There's something for everyone. I mean, literally something for everyone in here. All you got to do is reach out and ask people what their recommendations would be based on kind of the stuff you like. We'd be more than happy to help you out with that. The cool thing about the indie community is no one's going to push you into a particular place and say, my book is the absolute best. You don't want to look at anyone else's. No one up here is going to do that. Even Max would actually say, go take a look at some of these other books over here. You might like these as well.
Yep.
He'll tell you he's got a book. Don't get me wrong. But if it doesn't fit what you're going for, he will, kind of push you in a different direction as well. And everyone else would do that as well. Correct, Max?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many indie books out there. I mean, you got the big two or the big three, however you want to look at it. And there's Batman and there's 15 different Batman titles. There's Spider-Man and there's 20 different Spider-Man titles. And then there's a few other stuff that they're putting out. But indie comics is where you can really start to get everything opened up to where there's a whole bunch of options for different types of stories, because there's nobody telling you, no, you can't do that. Is the only person that tells you, no, you can't do that is really your wallet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately true, yes. No, it is definitely very true. And the cool thing about the indies is we've kind of touched on it going around here and everything. And it's nothing saying against the big two by any means. No one is up here bashing them. No one said anything negative or disparaging against them by any means. The indies are so detailed. So the IPs are so different and everything, because the passion that goes into there is the actual passion that you have to put in there, wearing all of the different hats. What I mean by that is the big two have, skyscrapers that are dedicated to marketing and production value, and they want to find viewership that's out there and everything. The people that do that in the indies are the same ones that are sitting around here right now. They have to look into this themselves and maybe have other people work with them in a smaller role at some point to kind of help out a little bit. But other than that, it's all that passion that's put in there on their own to get out there. And whenever you see that much passion put into these IPs that are available, you really start paying attention to what's out there, because that shows the true passion that is involved in what is out there in the indies. Now, we're going to go ahead and start. Let me go ahead and change up the screen here just a moment, because we're going to start bringing up some artwork up here and talking as well, because we have a couple of projects going on. And the first one's going to pop up here. I think someone knows what this one is. Who knows this one?
That looks pretty familiar.
I figured you would recognize that one. Now, first off, the little demon there. I know you did that just to get on my show at some point or somehow, some way. I know this was all a grand, plan of your scheme to get on here, but I really like the way that's set up with that. But we're talking about Tart. Tart 15 is actually on Kickstarter right now, and it is campaigning and doing pretty well over there right now. How many days you got left on that one?
I think we've got about 17 now. We're going to finish off with the party. We're stopping on Cinco de Mayo, so I figured it was on the calendar. I was going to be having a drink to celebrate either way, so might as well do it as a big party.
Well, give us the synopsis of exactly what Tart is and kind of what's led up to having 15 books going into this, because this has been an ongoing series that really doesn't look like it's going to be stopping anytime soon.
We hope to get to 27 right the end and have people tell us we did a good job. So we've got it. We're about halfway through. Tart is a story. We call it a supernatural quantum leap. Basically, we've got a time traveling demon hunter who wakes up at the beginning of each issue or adventure. She has no idea where she is or when in time she is, but she knows that there's a demon causing trouble, and it's up to her to stop it. As we get through the series, we open it up that basically the ruler of hell has lost a token of power, wants it back, and is willing to tear history apart to get it. And Tart and her friends basically try to run interference to protect that token of power.
And it is a very detailed, setup on here, and the storyline and everything that's on there. Now, I love this one, of course, because that gives it that whole, feel of the old school movies. Whenever you go into the very old theaters and they had that sitting outside with the black and white signs up there talking about what movies were playing and all, it has that feel to it. Your things, of course, you already mentioned it's time travel and everything. No spoilers by any means, people, but I'm telling you right now, there are reasons. There are, if you want to call them Easter eggs, even though we're already past Easter, there are eggs involved in some of the things that are on there. So pay attention to these things, because you never know whenever it's going to actually show up inside of the comic and kind of explain a little bit more into there. And yes, I see, Kevin, I told you I've been paying attention. But I mean, you've got some very cool characters you've been working on and dealing with some of the concept art going into it and showing the different, the evolution of what you've been dealing with on this. And this is something that, again, has been going on for quite some time. I will go ahead and let everybody know the whole reason that I got to know Kevin and his work was actually because of 2020. I know we're not supposed to talk about that year, but I did. Whenever we're there and we didn't have anything else to go to and do or anything, of course, we had some money to use or whatever, and we had comics. So what do? Well, you use the money on comics, and I did. And I went ahead and got the catch-up tier and got all the physical books on this, and I was absolutely hooked at the time. And it's just one of those things that once you get hooked on a series like this, it really gets you going with that. How are you finding it that you actually get every single campaign that you got, you're getting the same amount of backers on there, if not more on each one? I mean, you're consistently getting a higher percentage. How are you able to do that?
As a business person, it is mostly about making sure that I deliver the book to people, because I could be the greatest writer with the greatest artist in the world. And if I'm a year late or 2 years late, they're not going to come back to my next campaign. So the only things that I have control of once the book is made is putting it in an envelope, addressing it correctly, and getting it to the person. And now I hope that the work that I did and the work the artist and our letterer and our editor did created an emotional experience for the reader, where they start at page 1 feeling one way and they end page 24 feeling a different way. Hopefully it's the way we wanted them to feel. And if we've achieved that, I found that people come back. We don't have the biggest advertising or marketing dollars. We put about $5 in each campaign, but we do have people who read the book and come back. And
oh, there we go. We had a glitch there. I don't know what happened with that. See, I told you. I mentioned Skynet once, and see what happens around here.
Yeah.
Now we've got some people that are stopping in here. Let's see. We got Sickmate Stows in here. What's up? We've got Chris Reed is in here saying Michael Hinson and Chris Hayes. What's up, bros?
Yeah.
And of course, Sigmate is telling everybody there's Max and Johnny. Wait, who's got a birthday? Who's got a birthday? Johnny, that's your birthday?
My
We probably all
birthday's
do.
my
Not to this
birthday's in
weekend.
May.
Mine's Sunday, but not today.
Okay. So let's see. Hi, Michael and Chris, and then yo, Kevin. So yeah, we're getting all the way on board on that. Cool. Now, you kind of touched on, with the whole, you've got to stick with what you've got. You've got to make sure that you actually give people what they paid for, get it in their hands, make sure that they're happy. I do want to bring up something on here because I know that you're okay with it because you've done posts about it and everything, but it meant a lot to me. And I'm a backer and didn't even have the issue, but I still even gained even more respect for you because of this. With TART 14, there was a major issue with a lot of them that were being damaged. And you were taking care of the people going ahead and replacing the books. And I'm talking about, a no nonsense. I'm taking care of you. I'm not asking any questions. We're taking care of this. I'm going to go ahead and say that on top of that, like I said, my book wasn't damaged, but I got a very cool note with mine, handwritten. It wasn't like it was AI generated or, Skynet, transfer or anything like that. It was actually Kevin that did this. He didn't swim all the way over here to hand it to me. That was the only thing. But it was a cool that, he actually put the note in everything because I think it was part of the whole, you were making sure that everybody was happy with this. I've been there with you, the whole time that you've been doing this. You just want to make sure that everything was okay on my end. And you're always asking, what's my synopsis on this? What do I think about this? I might have to give you a pull quote one of these times, by the way. That reminds me. But it's awesome that you take care of the people and do that because that is very important to do that. And on that note right there, I want to go ahead and bring up because we're going to show our next one here in just a moment. But Max, we're fixing to talk to you and Johnny about doing some hunting. So let me bring this up on screen. I got to kick the hamster every once in a while. I didn't want to move very fast. But the cool thing is, we got Human Hunters that's on here, and as Human Hunters 3 is on campaign right now. So y'all have done this twice before. It seems to be gaining more attention, on each campaign moving forward on this. The story is starting to really build on this. How much more of this do we have to look forward to? We're not looking at too much of an ending coming up too fast on this, are we, Johnny?
No, on Human Hunters right now, we're on issue 3. We're kind of in the middle of the story arc. Issue 4, which will be coming out in, I think, about 3 or 4 months, because it's pretty much already done. Actually, 4 is all done. It's going to be a flashback issue. We get to actually get an origin story of Freya. So we get to kind of find out more about her. And then this story arc will conclude with issue 5.
Nice.
And if people are wondering what's going on after that, me and Max have already started working on the next story arc. We're almost done with it. And I think we got about 2 or 3 more story arcs even outlined in our heads for that after that.
Very cool. Now, I got to ask, because, with this being, your IP on this one, you come up with the idea, you're the creator of this one. Max, how did y'all get together on this one and put heads together to make this as good of a series as it has been so far?
Well, Johnny had the idea, and because I go, hey, do you have any ideas for comic books? And he's like, fuck yeah, I do. I got tons of ideas for comic books. And then he came up with the Human Hunters thing, and I was like, all right, that sounds good. Nice team up book. We could do that, and then we do it the same way we do all the other writing. We sit in a StreamYard just like this.
Yeah.
And then we put us in there, and then we put a Word document up. I type it because I type fast, and we sit there and just kind of go over it with each other. We do our outline, a high level outline, and then we do a low level outline. And then the low-level outline gets translated into panels, and then we'll be like, well, how about this? Or how about this? And then we'll just we'll bounce ideas off each other's head, and we kind of edit ourselves. And
by high level, it's like our high level is like the story arc. Yeah. And then we do and by the small level, that's like each issue. That, for each issue. And it is kind of funny because the reason we started is we started on Mary Machine Gun. And how you and this is a good thing to bring up because how you said about helping other people. Max originally brought me in on Mary Machine Gun 2 to just help him edit it. Hey, I know you do a lot of reading and all, and it just flowed into, hey, do you want to write Mary Machine Gun 3 with me? Number one, how many people say, hey, this is my baby, come share it with me? So I got to give props to Max on that one, and then he's like, hey, do you got some ideas? And believe it or not, Human Hunters wasn't even the first idea pitched. I had about 3 or 4. And Max has got like 3 or 4. And it's like, okay, what's going to fit in best with what's already out? And that's kind of like what, we got 2 different books that are getting ready to come out that Fern, our artist, and his wife are working on that fits in kind of with the Global Atrocity Press. Max has got one for a lady. We could talk about that, can't we? You said it before, right?
Yeah,
Lady Blasphemy is one that he's working on that's going to be out next year. I have one that's kind of a terrorist Native American native that'll probably be our next one from my ideas. And but it's just one of those, like me and Max, we sit down and we just pitch it back and forth. It's kind of creepy because it works really well. At least I'm happy with it. He hasn't fired me yet.
Well, that's always a great thing. Whenever you're not fired, that's usually your first sign that you're doing okay.
Well, it's the opposite. He actually brought me in, for half this freaking madness.
Now, Julian Roan has got something on here, and I want to go ahead and read this off because it's a big one that she put on here. But she wants to ask this, and I'm going to direct this towards you, Chris. I believe that this will be a good one for you. How do you as creators target potential new creators? I know sometimes it's hard for folks to come forward, and they might even think they don't have the skills to create a comic or write a story because maybe they struggle with spelling or maybe just putting what's in their heads on paper. Hope that makes any sense. I think it makes perfect sense on there. How do you kind of floor that one, Chris? I mean, if you got somebody coming up to you and they think they've got an idea, how do you kind of take them by the hand and say, let's see if that idea can actually go to paper?
Let me tell you, I want to pass this one on because Julian's a good friend of mine and the co-owner of the comic book store with me. So he hears me daily. So my answer, he's just going to roll his eyes probably. So let's pass this one on to somebody that doesn't know him.
All right, so we're going to pass that one on. Who are we going to pass that on to? Let's see. Who does Michael know this person? Do you know that one, Michael?
Yeah, Mike knows. Mike's in our store all the time too. So.
All right.
Well, I'll answer it.
There you go.
Max is a good one to answer because you got to remember about a year ago I was a new creator. So
that's true. That is very true.
I mean, you really just have to give them that little push or that kick in the ass, I mean, it's like, so what if you can't spell? Make it happen. Just write the script. I mean, the first thing I tell everybody is they're like, I have an idea for a comic book. And I'm like, well, do you have a script? And they're like, yes or no. And usually it's no. And I'm like, well, write your script. And they're like, well, I don't write. It's like, it doesn't matter if you don't write. As long as you understand what you're doing, you can get your script written, and then you can hand it over to an editor who can correct all your spelling mistakes and fix all your grammar errors and everything else. I mean, don't always try to take everything in on yourself. Bring it in, finish it yourself, and then find somebody that that could help you do the next step.
Absolutely.
I read once that Quentin
agree.
Tarantino's borderline illiterate. He's one of the best writers of our generation. So don't worry about the spelling. Just put a great story on a paper, no matter how you put it down.
Yeah, I mean, you could write it in prose. It doesn't matter, I mean, it doesn't have to be in a script format with panel 1, scene 1, panel 1, daytime, sitting outside, establishing shot, exterior, loony bin named Arkham Asylum. You don't have to do that. You just sit there and say, okay, Batman runs down the hallway kicking all the people's ass, and then he fucking runs up against the Joker and he punches him in the face. You can do whatever you want.
Yep.
Yeah, because there's going to be somebody out there that's going to help guide you through that. Will take that script.
Yeah.
You can sit down with that person, give them your idea and say, okay, these are my notes. This is the guide I wanted. I mean, you can always write down your guide to somebody and give it to another writer as well. which is what we've had people do as well. They give us their ideas and their thoughts, and then we sit down with them and pick their brain and know which way they want to go and what direction they want to go with their creation, and then we help them to put that on paper.
And Chris put on here that he reached out to Hinson for help. Should be some amazing storytelling as a result. That right there, that speaks volumes for what we're talking about helping people with some things. And I will say, just to kind of add on to Julian's question there and the answers that we've been getting on that, my story personally is kind of going around this. I'm talking about my story as a human being type thing, because when push came to shove and I finally, decided to think about doing something with my story, and then Tim Ingram reached out to me and said, I got an idea. What do you think about talking about this? And we literally, it was just a conversation. And all of a sudden he was like, this has got to be a book. We got to do this. So it became a fun conversation between, friends and everything that just kind of spun off from there. Sometimes it's just a matter of just voicing what you have in your head to get out there, and someone else will sit there and go, I can see where this could go somewhere. It's not always about you got something in your head and you can't figure out how to put it to paper and get the perfect, comic book writing on there. Max was going through only one of the styles of actually creating the script for a comic. I have done so much research on this. There are 20 million different styles out there, and of which there are even some where they just kind of sit there and tell people, this is my idea, run with it. And then they have to figure out how to script it from there because they can't figure out the format themselves. That happens, but there are ways of getting around everything that's out there as long as you reach out to people. That's the main thing. So hopefully that was able to kind of help answer that question with y'all on that one.
Befriend your local writer.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I'll add one more thing to that, and it's important for anything, any business, anything you want to try to do, and that is learn what your strengths are. Work on those to get better, and surround yourself with people that can fill in the areas that you're not, because we're not all great at everything. So even if you're really good at a bunch of things, you want to surround yourself with people that can fill in and be a support mechanism for that growth. And I think you should always be learning. I think you should always be pushing the envelope and gaining as much information as you can to get better at what you need to get better at. And if you can't find that person, then go find the information. So I think it's kind of a two-pronged thing where fill in the gaps with people everywhere you can, where you have weaknesses, because we all do, and absolutely fill in with knowledge in the other areas. Always be getting better.
Yeah.
And surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. That's a really good thing to do, because you learn from those people. If you surround yourself with people that are not smarter than you, I'm not going to say they're stupid, but they're just not smarter than you on certain specific topics, then you're not going to get any good information. You're just going to get GIGO, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep. I mean, why do you think I host shows? I mean, I get smarter people than me on here. Now, speaking of, with, Michael was talking last on, we're going to bring up about his stuff on here because we have the disputed territory. Go ahead and give us the synopsis on what the disputed territory is about, Michael.
So it's an ongoing graphic novel, again, put out also in a serial format of 24-ish pages per issue. It's got an overarching story arc that is ongoing. I've written the very end, but and I kind of have some stakes in the sand on where it's headed, but I don't have the entire story written. So it is an ongoing series. And it's the background of it is whiskey. Well, my shirt says it. Whiskey gives him powers. So he has our main character, our protagonist, has a connection to the spirit world through spirits, through whiskey and rum, and they all have different reactions in him. And so it's supernatural in the sense of he's connecting to the other side. He's connecting to the spirit world. And it's a learning process for him. So he sets out to create his own whiskey to basically steal his own whiskey in the Old West. So it's set in the 1840s, and yeah, it'll make you 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And then he starts having these strange occurrences happening to him, these connections to the spirit world. And so he kind of starts putting two and two together. And so basically, so I have a 6-book story arc and then another 6-book story arc. And so I'm kind of writing in like mini arcs inside of the major arc. And I'm also simultaneously, I'm working with another novelist to write the compendium for this, which is sort of the Bible, if you will, for the story. So it gives you the background on how it works, how the spirits work, how you connect, how they cross over. And it spans the full length of human history. So it kind of gives you a little bit more background on why this is happening to him. But this particular thing is his journey. So it's the Golden Fleece type of story where it's just this ongoing, he's trying to reach this goal. And it turns out what he's after is not what he's going to learn.
Nice. And I love the logo on this, Preserve Greatness. I love the way that you got this set up. This is for your Comic Shield side of things, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And I'll tell you, marketing is not easy. And even when it's a one-person operation and you know exactly what you think you want to do, it's challenging. And it took a long time to get to this little tagline, but it really took some soul searching on what is the point of what I'm doing. Obviously, it started off with, all of this stuff starts off selfishly to some degree where, I created my own book and I wanted to ship my book, right? So it started out there, and 2020 was a big reason. I'll bring that up again. I launched my first book, I think like the day we shut down for COVID. So like it was just fantastic timing. So I had to ship things. And so that was kind of the source of why Comic Shield came into an existence. I used to be a structural designer for a box firm, so that's how I had that little background piece. I won't bore the whole story, but essentially I started making these bulletproof shippers for comics because of seeing horror stories on people getting books bent. They're shipping $100 books and getting them torn up by the mailman. So that's kind of where it started. I have a whole line of stuff now, but it ultimately I had to dig through, like, am I doing this just for that, or why am I really doing this? And so it really kind of came full circle with the indie thing and putting out my own books and like thinking about others in my situation and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And preserving greatness is more than just, I'm going to put these books in a protective case. It's about preserving the greatness that's coming out in the modern era, because we have to preserve that. And it goes along with what everybody else has said here. We have to preserve the creative nature of people and the storytelling that people are bringing to the world. That's what we have to do. And so that's where that tagline came from. I think it's what I want to be about. I want to be a part of that. And I want Comic Shield to be more than just shipping comics. I want to bring more to the world than that. So that's how that came to be. And I'm it can't just be words on a page either. It can't just be words on a logo. Like, I have to follow through with helping the industry and truly showing that's what I'm about. So that it isn't just words. It's follow through. It's
yes.
It's got meaning behind it.
Absolutely. And that's the best way of doing it. And that logo, like you said, it's got more meaning behind it than just the business itself and the product itself. Like you said, it kind of goes for the entire emotion that surrounds what happens with all of this. And it's a great way to encompass the way this entire show has been going tonight. And we're getting to that point where I'm fixing to go ahead and we're going to get to wrapping up on this tonight. And I want to thank everyone for being on here. I will say that your Comic Shield is great and everything. I don't know how it would handle Max's book, because there's rumors that Max had a book that went out that was burned, torn. Let's see, bent.
Oh,
It was wet.
you can blame that one on me. Go ahead, Max.
It was burned. It was burned, torn, bent, and cut. And because Sam Quinton, when he sent his thing, he had in his notes, it says, "Please do not burn, bend, cut, or burn or cut, rip or something." And we're like, "You don't tell us what to do." And so Johnny sets it on fire and crumples it up and rips it and cuts it with scissors, and then we put it in the Gemini.
I think I even put it in water.
I think I'm going to add that as an add-on. That's a great idea.
Exactly. And I think Sam said he was going to send it in to CGC just to see what he got back on.
Well, what's funny is Sam, at first, he was like, I don't even know, because he said at first he was like, thought that it was like damaged, like through shipping. And we're like, no, dude, we did that on purpose. You know?
What was the total print run?
On the book? I think
Yeah,
we printed.
what was the total print run?
I think we printed 600 of them.
Yeah, so that's a 1 in 600. That variant
There you
is
go.
very serious.
Exactly. It's a one-of-a-kind book. One of one.
Sam's
Personally
gonna retire on that
defaced.
one.
Personally defaced by Johnny and Max DeVill.
It's a remark.
That's a remarkable remark.
So just keep in mind, everybody that's watching this, whenever you do go over there to the campaign for Max and Johnny, and you get that thing at the end, whenever it says you get your survey and everything, and it says, "Do you have anything to add to this?" Oh, have some fun with that. Give them a challenge this time.
Well,
Speaking of-
we're sitting there. Go ahead.
Speaking of surveys, fill out your surveys from Kickstarter. That's how we know where to send your books.
Yeah.
It's not a do you like this? It's 1 in 10. I'm very satisfied, not satisfied. It's where do you send your books?
Yeah, this one's still I don't know which campaign this is from, but yeah, here's the post-it note. Here's the person. I'll send it to them when they send me their address. It's ready to go.
I've still got 2 Mary Machine Gun packages from Mary Machine Gun number 1 that nobody filled out their survey on, and they're just sitting in my closet. And I don't even have access to the Kickstarter backer information anymore because Kickstarter takes it away after a year. So I don't know how I'm going to do it. I guess I'm just going to open them up and put them back in the box.
I had that sad funeral thing where I opened up about 15 of the oldest ones and just put it back in the thing. Found a couple variants that I no longer had. So,
Hey, all right.
thanks, guys. I guess I would have rathered it came to the backer though.
Yeah.
Well, I always feel bad about it because me and Max talk about it, and it's like one of those, are these people now, the ones that are bad talking our campaigns? I never got my stuff. They never sent me the stuff, and we're sitting there going, we don't know where to send it. That's my worst fear of the whole thing.
And I mean,
Now,
we
we're
try
gonna
our
go-
hardest. We send our backers updates. I'll send emails directly to the person's email that their Kickstarter is listed as. Hopefully that's an active email account. And I'm like, hey, your survey, fill it out, please. And sometimes we get responses. Most of the time we don't.
There you go. Now, we're going to go ahead and get to the end of this right now. Before we go ahead and shut this thing down and call it a night tonight, I want to go ahead and give each of y'all a time to get on full screen and go ahead and let them know why they need to stop what they're doing and go ahead and go to the links that are provided in all the feeds. Yes, I made it easy for everybody. You don't have to speed memorize anything that's going across the screen here in just a moment. You can just click on the link in the feeds. But just remember, there are 2 hashtags that this show heavily promotes that I came up with, which are hashtag number 1, which is power of the finger, the correct one if you can. Hit that share button and get things shared out. As I kind of dropped earlier, not everybody has the money, the financial means to financially back everything that's out there. We all know that. No one's pointing any fingers saying you should be, backing everything that's out there. However, it costs you absolutely nothing to use the power of the finger to go ahead and share things out. It costs you less time whenever you go ahead and make your coffee every day. And I am a coffee drinking fool over here. And that way I share as much as I possibly can in between getting my coffee. So if I can do that, I know y'all can as well. And the reason you want to use the hashtag Power of the Finger is because you want to do it for the hashtag Voice of the Indies. I bring this up every time as well because, and Max is very aware of this particular name, Niobe, which is Larry Higgins, gave me this name because, out of respect for my shows and everything. I respectfully declined having it as a personal name. It is a conglomerate as far as I'm concerned. This is not a name that one person should have on their own moniker. This should be a conglomerate of everybody working together to increase the Voice of the Indies. So in order to increase the Voice of the Indies, use the Power of the Finger and get those shares going. And you can start that right now because we're going to start off with Max. Give him full screen. He's going to tell you why you need to become a hunter and get over there and hunt some humans. No, wait, that came out wrong. Human hunters.
If you dig books like or shows like A-Team or Mission Impossible movies or anything that's really clandestine type activities with a bunch of really dirty humans that need to be punished, you really should jump on Human Hunters. I mean, this is the most disturbing storyline that Atrocity Press has ever put out. I mean, it deals with human trafficking, so it's really, really disturbing. So if you like disturbing material and you like monsters, you like action books, and you like blood and guts and gore, you're definitely going to want to get involved in this.
Absolutely. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up, Johnny, I'm going to give you full screen on this one and pick up on anything that he may have left out on what we were talking about with Human Hunters.
Ditto. I'm done. No. Well, I know that's the big thing is if you're into the monsters of old, if you're into the old Universal and all, this is basically our version of what happens in modern day. This isn't kind of like, so many of the movies, like they don't know what a phone is. They don't understand what a car. No, these are guys that probably developed the internet. They develop cars. They're probably truly the smartest one in the room. And I got to tell you, our art crew, I can't talk enough about them. Our art is awesome. It comes back every page I get excited about. And Human Hunters, it's not going anywhere. This is like all of Atrocity Press. We're in it for the long haul. So if you want to get in, jump on board because it's going to be a long ride.
Awesome. And now we're going to go ahead and bring up, let me go ahead and, Michael, I'm going to give you full screen on this one. Let them know why they need to get over there and start paying attention to the series that you have going on. And then as well as your business that you've got going with Comic Shield, because I have a feeling your name's getting out there a lot more here in the very near future.
You're muted, Mike.
Oh, you're muted. There you go.
There we go. How about that mute button? Comic Shield is obviously it's all about getting the product to the customer and having a place for them to store it. I made it to be the best in the industry, indestructible. So that's number one. And it's all about doing it for the industry. So it's a brand that's all about what we're doing here. As far as the disputed territory goes, like I said, ongoing series. I'm in it for the long haul. I have an unbelievable interior artist. Lipway is just absolutely stellar work. It's better than I anticipated it would be. And I've got a commitment for 12 books in about 13 months. If you like supernatural, or if you like Western, I wouldn't say it's not traditional. It's very cinematic. It's just a fun ride. I think you're, I don't know. This is the hardest part for me is the self-pitch thing. I think it's a great idea. It hasn't been done. It's new, it's different. And I think it's just fun.
It sounds like it to me for sure. I'm definitely gonna be looking into it myself. And Chris, I'm going to bring you up full screen on here. I'm going to tell you right now, though, I don't have any fancy banners for you, so you really got to sell this one and let us know what you got going on and where they can go ahead and support you as well.
Easy. Go to chartercomics.com. You'll find my stuff on there. I've been known for writing thriller and horror books. Actually took a break from that as and I went completely sideways in what I'm used to doing. Have a Kickstarter going right now called Nut Brigade, which is literally about a secret assassin of squirrels in the human world. It's out there. It's crazy. It's corny. That's how I wanted it. A lot of it doesn't make sense. It's fun. It is not a kid's book. It is mature reading on this. It'll be about 10 issues, but that's out with the Charter Comics group. We have 7 really good writers, including Mike, that are in there. If you go to the website, you'll actually be able to look at each different writer and their creations. And when you click on their creations, it takes you to their website where you can order their books from them. Alone, but it goes from thriller horror to the undead to the action to heroes. We got all kinds of options for any reader. So give us a look. Just go over to chartercomics.com.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to go ahead and finish off with Kevin over there because he's ready to go swimming again. So, Kevin, we're going to give you full screen on this one before you go take off diving, and go ahead and let us know why they need to get over there and check out Tart.
Well, we'd love to have you check out the page. Tart is a time-traveling demon hunter. We like to say that if Buffy had to time travel in the world of Doctor Who with supernatural type things, I kind of got lost in my own thing. Still thinking about Nut Brigade, to be quite honest. That sounds like a great book. I'm super excited to get over to that one as well. But yeah, if you like time travel, fantasy, hidden history, one of the things that we like to play around with is, if we've all heard about Atlantis, we all heard it sunk, why? And Ludo and I get to talk and try to figure out why Atlantis sunk. And if you've read our series, you know why. We told you. And one thing I want to say is I'd love for you to back the Kickstarter. If you don't want to pay the shipping, you know what? Scout Comics has Tart. Talk to 2 of these comic shop owners and ask them to order you Tart through Scout Comics. I don't care where you buy it. As long as you read it, I'm happy. We've got a $20 digital tier where you can read all 15 issues for $20 in the Kickstarter. Find out if you love it. If you do, I've got books. As Phil said, I've got a bunch of damaged Tart 14s, but everything else is really nice.
Absolutely. Now, something that I'm doing new, and I apologize ahead of time, sort of, not really, but I never talk about myself on my show. It's always about the creators that are on here. But since I have joined the creators now, which is still weird for me to say out loud, I'm going to go ahead and do a plug on mine real quick, because May 30th, Voices in the Dark will be coming out, co-written by myself and Tim Ingram, which is a story about well, let's just put it this way. It's basically the Tonight Show meets the Twilight Zone, where a host of the show that's on their online show interviews people of the supernatural order, shall we say. And then there's different ties that are in there to kind of show where origins happen and where eggs are left all over the place to let you know what's going to be happening. Not only that series, but a spinoff as well. So there's a lot of information coming, and issue 2 will be launching May 30th on Kickstarter. We are excited, as you can possibly imagine, but also terrified. But definitely looking forward to it. This is something that I have thought about doing for quite some time, and I am just honored to be on a panel of people up here, like-minded people who do this as well. Even people that are over in the audience watching, will be watching later on. This is a matter of honor for me. This is something where I get to get up here and not only do something I love, but it's something y'all love, and we're all working together to get that passion out there. Why should I be any different? So that's why I really wanted to answer that question earlier from Julia, is because this is something that means a lot to me as well, and something that I had to reach out and say, it may not be that good. What do we do with it? And Tim worked with me on this, and I've already written issue 2, and issue 2 it terrifies me even more because that is mine, written all by myself. And I've already had my fiance read it, which, yes, she's biased, but she said it is awesome. And I will be having other people read that in the very near future. Just let me know what they think. But be looking for Voices in the Dark, launching May 30th. And always keep an eye on what Dark Enterprises has out there in marketing, because we have a couple of campaigns right now we are marketing for. So be looking for those. Blonde Assassin 3 and Alternative Narratives by Ben and Jake Tinsley, a father-son combination out there, are doing these books. and they're doing great on it. So that campaign is live right now. If you need the link to that, reach out to me and let me know, or just look at my profile, you'll see it. And you're going to see some things from When Darkness Falls is the name of what series is going to be coming out. That'll be launching mid-June. So we got all kinds of things going on. And again, I wanted to go ahead and take a little bit of time to go ahead and plug my stuff as well, because it's important to get that out there. But I want to thank all of y'all for being on here tonight and for being able to share the time with me and share your information and your passion and what's going on. And hopefully we've been able to reach out to some people that are out there live right now. And we will be reaching out to some people who will be watching this post view as well. And hopefully they'll be going ahead and maybe jumping, pulling the trigger on some stuff they've got and saying, I've got an idea for something. What do we do to make this work? And you can reach out to any one of us up here. And we'd be more than happy to go ahead and put you in the direction you need to go and get some projects.
And my birthday is May 30th. So for my birthday present, check out Phil's book and back it.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you very much for being here. We have had a hell of a time tonight on another hell of a show. I've enjoyed having y'all in the hot seats and hopefully looking forward to having y'all back on here in the near future. Until then, I want to go ahead and say, because I love saying this on the shows, stay positive out there. Keep it indie, y'all.
Thank you. Good night.